What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. We are winding down the Sociopath investigation, both because we plateaued and also because it started falling apart. Not completely done yet, but very close, within the next couple days. Now, in the meantime, we did lock down some very useful information and patterns about INFJ sociopaths specifically. And maybe, but my gut says probably most INFJs. And it's this concept of benign manipulation. There are three aspects to this. First, there is a form of benign manipulation it seems like all sociopaths engage in one form or another, which is tricky because lots of people engage in benign manipulation. And what I mean by benign manipulation is trying to move you into a position or get you to do things they think are better for you. Make decisions, better decisions for you that you can't or won't make yourself. Lots of people do that. The difference with the sociopaths is on this lower level, they usually won't delude themselves as to what they're doing. They're more aware of the fact they are being controlling. The second thing, which should go without saying, is it's impositional, which apparently isn't a word, but you understand what it means. Benign manipulation is controlling. Now, the third thing, which is more specific to INFJ sociopaths, is they do it on a much deeper level and they are not aware of it. Or if they are aware of it, then this is the INFJ hive-minded work. Because I checked and they are not aware of it. None of them have any idea they're doing it, which is shocking, and it makes me feel a little bad. But now we know. And there's another smaller pattern to this, and I don't know what to make of it yet. But not one of them attacked me after I checked. After inviting them to. Giving them reasons to. Other types didn't have that problem. Not that I hard checked everybody. I'm an incel, I'm a hypocrite, I'm a creep, got shit for the mysticism. But the INFJs whom I took most issue with refused to attack me. And that's actually a little irritating. Rather, they ranged from dismissive to hurt, which again makes me feel bad, but also makes their specific benign manipulation all the more confusing. Let's break down the pattern of how INFJ sociopaths benignly manipulate. And this will sort of apply to baseline INFJs too. The difference is sociopath INFJs are way better at selling it, and that's why I was convinced it was intentional. They all start with some self-image. They present themselves to be a sort of person that is desirable to be. Then they set to helping you, and they are charming and personable while they do it. They will try to get to know you, and they will make it easy and social dopamine rewarding to let yourself be known. And what's interesting, none of the other types in the investigation did this. This was INFJ specific. Now, as they're helping you, as you two are getting to know one another, they will flex the sort of person they present themselves to be. Like they want you to believe this persona they are showing you, like this persona is the thing to be, or at least an ideal thing to be. And then what happens next is something that is unique to INFJ sociopaths. I haven't known baseline or INFJs to do this. I think they want to have more influence on you, so they can manipulate you benignly. But where any other sort of person or where a baseline or INFJ would just start doing that, INFJ sociopaths will get you to consent to it. It is folkloric vampire shit. Because you look back, you track, you double check this. They will not try to manipulate you benignly in any realm that seems important or personal until you've opened that door to them. And I think it's because consciously they're all concerned with boundaries, even more than other types are. But I'll go out on a limb and say this concern with boundaries probably runs deeper than they realize, and I don't know why this is the case with INFJ sociopaths, because baseline INFJs don't have this concern. Most people don't have this concern. But also, the reason I say it runs deeper is once you've opened one of these doors, they will start their benign manipulation without their realizing it. They do not do it before that door is open. And once that door is open, maybe on a conscious level they step through it, but on an unconscious level, cold wind sweeps in behind them and fills up that entire space. Because here's what they'll do, and here's how you know it's a change. They'll start interpreting for you, and they'll do it without your asking them to, and they won't check with you to get your thoughts. And I repeat, they do not do this until that door is open. But once it is, what I think they're trying to do, unconsciously, is move you in a direction they feel is safe according to their perspective. And it usually comes back to, it all comes back to, whatever they present themselves to be initially. Now, that's been bugging me this entire time, because I thought they were playing mind games with me. Which, interestingly, is not something I got from any of the other participants. Most of the other participants in the beginning ranged from overbearing to standoffish to dickish, but by now, everyone has settled down into either friendliness or neutrality. I don't smell games on any of them, which, again, if we're thinking about stigma, that's very interesting. Trust seems like it's a very big deal with them, and all the participants, again, maybe I'm completely wrong, but the nose knows, everyone's been earnest about this. And I knew the INFJs were being earnest too, but there was this level of manipulation happening that I was convinced was INFJ manipulative mind games, which ranged from annoying, bitchy undermining to the faux brotherly, knowledgeable guiding. And once it clicked what they were doing, it got me really agitated. Because here's the way I perceived it. Oh, and that's another thing about the consent. Some of them will, I don't know, nice you into consenting. Others will badger you into consenting. But the point is they secure the consent. Anyway, the way I interpreted what I thought I was seeing, or what I was seeing, but we'll get to that. They got me to give them consent to preach their point of view to me, which is this persona they present themselves to be, on a superficial level to look like they are helping out, while in reality using you, or using their preaching to you, as an opportunity to affirm the existence or the validity or the effectiveness of their own view of themselves. And that really agitated me. One, because I don't like anyone who acts like they know better. Two, because you think I'm too fucking stupid to see it. Three, because you're using me. And four, because you aren't the person you think you are, And even if you were, the person you think you are isn't shit. Not even close. And everyone has had an opinion about my feelings about that woman. INFJs key in on that shit. And that pissed me off too, because they are in they are trying to draw conclusions for you, which, if you let them, will lead you off the trail you're following and into a ditch. The difference is, or why it almost happened here, was if it were anything else, you could write it off, but these are INFJ sociopaths giving an opinion on an INFJ sociopath. And because I don't have that INFJ sociopath's conclusions about all of it, it would be very easy to let another one draw that conclusion for you. And in general, you are more likely to listen to people who are showing you kindness. But I was under the impression they were doing that maliciously. Because here's another thing: most of them will use the exact same friendliness tactics, almost like they all learned from the same source. It's a very pointed friendliness, active friendliness. Hence why I assumed it was a game. What else are you supposed to think when a person uses studied friendliness to get close to you, to learn about personal aspects of your life, and then starts trying to guide you according to their view of themselves, their persona? That doesn't read like manipulation, that is manipulation. It is using you, it is undermining you, and it is serving this persona they are trying to convince themselves they believe in. It is doing all those things. But I got the intent wrong. They are not maliciously and consciously trying to play you to fortify or gratify themselves. Rather, their desire to protect you runs so deep they aren't aware of it. This benign manipulation does have all those annoying and shitty qualities, but it's so effective, it feels so natural, specifically because they aren't aware of it. And although they are undermining you and serving their persona, they're doing that because this persona of theirs is, in their life, the strongest tool they have to protect themselves, to help people, all sorts of things. Now, in the process of this, they are still doing what they're doing, but the intentions are pure and they run deep. So deep, they have no conception that they are doing this. And I know some people are in the camp of everybody is always aware of everything they do. That is not the case, in my experience. Most people have no idea why they do anything. They have ideas about why they do things, but that assumes they're even aware they're doing it. And in many cases, people don't even realize what they're doing. They aren't paying that close attention to their actions. When you feel you are operating kindly or honestly in good faith, how closely are you scrutinizing what you say and do? Now, a big however here. I think on some super deep unconscious level, they are aware they are doing controlling, undermining, self gratifying things when they are benignly manipulating in this way. Which is interesting because so much of them happens in the unconscious. I think that's why this consent is so important. They probably don't even realize why it's so important. Outside the conscious side of it, which they are aware of, they'll tell you they're aware of, they're concerned with. But this is all an entire step by step that happens unconsciously. And this is all another reason INFJs are so frustrating. The intent doesn't change the impact. But the intent is important. And the reason this is important in terms of impact is this influence grows. An INFJ sociopath might consciously be taking every measure they can think of to respect other people's boundaries, not to control or not to manipulate. But then, eventually, they will realize they have gotten control over somebody, or they have hooked somebody, and they won't know why. Because this is another thing. Most INFJs are good at getting people obsessed with them. INFJ sociopaths, you take that and you put it on steroids. They're so good at getting people obsessed with them, they will get people obsessed with them without realizing it. And I think this is why. They are so manipulative, they are manipulating without realizing it, and for good reasons. But they get some of that devilish benefit, that self-assurance, that control. Anyway, my point in all this is, if you are not an INFJ sociopath, or maybe just not an INFJ, you need to be aware they'll do this, because they will do it, and if you don't catch it, you'll end up under their control. And they won't stop themselves because, one, they don't realize they're doing it, two, they think they're doing it for strictly positive reasons, when in reality it's more of a mixture. You need to be aware of it so you don't get caught up and you can do something about it. And also not totally misinterpret them. Like I said, I got the pattern. I got one set of motivations. I got the consciousness and other set of motivations wrong. And on the other side, if you are an INFJ sociopath or you are an INFJ, pay attention to what you're doing. This might feel like getting put in another position in which there's no right answer, or there is way too much to pay attention to and it's not even worth it. But if this benign manipulation, the unconscious side, is coming from a positive place, and you are this concerned with people's boundaries, their selfhood, and so on, then I don't think you want to be manipulating people in this way. And there are 3 reasons for that. One, out of this deep, deep, deep running purity and desire to be helpful and to be good, to be a net positive, which both does seem to be a theme with all the sociopaths on this channel, again against stigma, and but especially with the INFJs. None of them are very good at picturing themselves a year or 2 from now. And while the NI types are more inclined to think about the bigger picture, the INFJs particularly look at the bigger picture with some kind of hope and plan, which is interesting considering their difficulty imagining themselves tomorrow. Second thing, you never know how people are going to react. Yes, they get the people who get obsessed with them. Yes, they get their stalkers in some cases. None of them seemed to realize the hatred that was building up in me in reaction to this. For practical reasons, you really don't want to be having this level of effect on people without realizing it. And that's the third reason. I don't think any sociopath is comfortable with an aspect of themselves or a behavior of theirs they have 0 control over. And why do they have 0 control over it? Because they have 0 awareness of it. In the same way, baseliners' shadows, they have 0 awareness of those, and their shadows act out and do all this malevolent shit that they have no idea about. These sociopaths, one of them, the original, described it instead of a shadow as a cherub or a fairy. Your little angel is doing shit without your awareness, without your consent, and fucking up your designs. And I'm not saying anyone has to stop doing this, but you want to be aware of it so you have control over it. If you don't realize it's happening, what is it? If you don't realize it's happening, or you don't, oh fuck, it's a Jung line. If you remain unaware of your shadow or something like that, your shadow will cause things to happen and you'll call it fate. I don't know if that was a Jung line. I know it's Jung adjacent. You have that going on. Except instead of a shadow, which is acting out in negative ways with tinges of goodness but otherwise fucking up your life, you have an angel going around with a tinge of darkness fucking things up and affecting your life. And why would you want to control this angel? It's the same reason a baseline person would want to control their shadow. The goal is awareness and integration and mastery, so you decide your destiny. And that's great for your soul, your benefit, your growth, but the real reason is so you don't agitate Skimmerlit. Not that I think I'll be speaking at length to any of these INFJs again. Both because with INFJs, I know what happens after these abrupt betrayals of trust. Nothing good. But also because this unconscious thing won't change. I now see it is unconscious, and it does come from a largely pure place, but there is also that eroding aspect and that self-gratifying at your expense aspect. And if it's not this, then it will be something else. And the thing is, INFJs are so subtle with this shit. And not just this, I mean everything. If you try to have a conversation with them about it, they will lock up, get hostile, and probably door slam you. Immediately. Again, people act like door slams are this last resort, builds up over years. No, if you push the right button, including when the INFJ is in the wrong or doing something fucked up, you get door slammed immediately. Now, to the INFJ sociopath's credit, I didn't try to have a conversation about this with any of them, which I do feel bad about, but there are certain prices you pay for information. This was an instance it was worth the cost. You're all still irritating, and that I would think this in the first place is probably hurtful, but now we have the full picture. And of the bits of information we've gathered, this one feels significant. So over the next few days, we'll wrap up. I might check with people to see if they'd be interested in participating in a second investigation, or maybe a third. I want to sit on this information for a while because we plateaued, and then maybe test with a different set of sociopaths, potentially back and forth, plateau to plateau, but we'll see. I'm surprised that there wasn't one stinker in this entire investigation. As I mentioned, rocky start, but overall this was nice and useful. It's also funny that within the realm of typology, sociopaths are kinder and easier to deal with than baseliner typology people are. Typical typology people are the scum of the earth. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.